right, guys. Today's segment is one of my favorites. It's question of the day. You'll hear Dennis and I's thoughts on the question. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content to help grow the channel. So the last one is my favorite segment, and this question I've been sitting on for a while. I wanted to ask this like the first day, but we're gonna get a little deep here.
Yeah.
And I love it. You can already tell he's uncomfortable. So that's how you know it's going to be a good segment. But I don't remember where I saw this. It's a common question. So I can't take credit for the question, but here's today's question. You ready?
Go ahead.
Hypothetical situation, because neither one of us are in this situation.
True.
But today's question is, if you were married and your wife was pregnant and she was actively having or getting ready to or actively having the baby, but the doctor walks in and says, hey, one of the two is going to die during the birth. Which one are you saving? You saving your wife or are you saving the kid?
Okay. So I think first off, hopefully this never happens to anybody.
Obviously, yes.
Hopefully, like
Purely hypothetical. Obviously, we don't want this to happen, but
this is a terrible situation, terrible thing to happen. Strictly going because Gage is crazy and comes up with these crazy questions.
yeah.
I think for me, I think I would say I would save my wife at that point. Just because also, scripturally, it's God is first and then your spouse. And so going based on that, I would say save my spouse. It would be probably the hardest decision that you've ever had to make in your life.
Yeah.
Because
unfortunate reality is people have to make this decision probably daily.
Right,
There are people that
right.
have to make this, and we're making a segment out of it. It's not a joke, but this is
Yeah.
just like a segment I wanted to do. But
Right.
so you're saving your wife because the
Yeah,
big man upstairs says
for sure.
save the wife.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that's what I would go with. And yeah, definitely, as Gage said, this is not a joke. This is just a hypothetical. Like we come up with a quick question every week, and so this is just he wanted to go a little deep with this one and
Yeah.
want to see.
I didn't realize we'd have the same answer. I thought you would go the opposite direction. But mine is for different reasons. I'm going to save the wife as well.
Mhm.
But mine, I don't ever want to be in that situation because I don't want kids, right? So that's
Right,
the easy
Yeah.
part is I don't want kids. So if I'm in that situation already, I'm behind.
Behind
But
that. Yeah,
I don't know why
with the wrong woman.
it's to save the kid. I mean, I don't know. It's different. I guess because you know the wife on a deeper level, right? Obviously you're married to her. You know most everything there is to know about the person, assuming it's a healthy marriage or whatever.
Hmm.
And the kid is they're not even born yet. So even though you're especially the mom is gonna have an attachment with the kid.
Right.
I don't know. It just seems like the attachment with the wife would be a stronger bond
For
than the
sure.
kid.
I think that you know the person, you've probably been with them for a considerable amount of time. Not saying, obviously, the time with an unborn child is crucial and
Mm-hmm.
is a beautiful thing. But when you have to make a very hard choice between two things, maybe the person that you've known for a longer period of time, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to justify the decision,
Yeah.
and also scripturally, that But what's interesting is also I feel like not had a similar conversation, but I had a conversation with a coworker that said that was a female that said I would save my kids. Like if anything happened,
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
like I think their hypothetical situation was my husband, they're both falling off a bridge or some
Mm-hmm.
crazy hypothetical, and they're like, I would save my children
Yeah.
because like I love I'm all about my children. And I don't know if
Yeah.
that just says like they had a poor marriage
Yeah.
or if they
I mean that gets into another topic of you see all the time. Like, do you put your kids first or do you put your spouse first in a marriage? And
Mhm.
I think vast majority of people will put their kids first. But I happen to be on the other side of the spectrum in that I think the spouse comes first.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of is consistent with why I would save the spouse before
And I
the kids.
yeah, and I agree with you in that situation too, because I feel like you love your family as a whole, but I think you once your kids grow up and they move on and they decide to start their own family,
Mm-hmm.
you have your kids, and then you have their family and their kids and your grandkids, but
Mm-hmm.
you know it ends up being your spouse or significant other and
Yeah.
just you two. And so you have to really have that deep love, caring for each other, to continue to live, your life past your kids. You go through all their sporting event, we got this
Yeah.
and this and this,
Yeah.
and now it's just you and your wife or you and your husband together again, just the two of you. And so you have to, that goes along with, I think it's important that you also continue to date your husband and
Mm-hmm.
your wife, throughout the duration. You can't just, life isn't just going to their kids' soccer games and things like that. Spend time with your significant other, go to date nights, and keep that connection, because one day your kids are going to move on and they're going to
Yep.
be gone, and they might not come and visit you often, or they might not
Yeah.
be around often. And so it's just you and your significant other. So make sure you have a good relationship with your significant other.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, I think that's the important. I mean, you mentioned dating each other and stuff like that. So
mhm,
I feel like if you have a healthy relationship, then you're probably going to be a better parent. Obviously, neither one of us are parents, so we're
mhm.
speaking
Yeah,
hypothetically.
for sure.
So if people that have this experience can speak a little bit better to it, but I feel like if you have a good relationship with your spouse, that's going to reflect on how you parent the kid. The kid is going to see that. And
Hmm.
then, because you see kids that grow up in unhealthy households, and it's just a cycle that continues
Yeah,
until, eventually, hopefully somebody breaks it, but
right.
it could just be an endless cycle. So I feel like if you put your kids above your spouse, that's when things start to fall apart. Not
Hmm.
to say there are times where the kids obviously come first, right? I'm
Hmm.
talking in the long run. If your
Yeah,
kid's sick, obviously they come before the spouse, or if something happens, whatever. But I mean,
yeah,
in the long run,
right.
you have to have that bond, because, like you said, kids are going to move out,
Hmm.
and if you're a good parent, they're going to be self sufficient. They're
Hmm.
going to have their own family, their own job, their own life, whatever. And they're probably not going to, just frankly, especially in America, they're not going to come see you that often.
Hmm.
So then
Yeah.
you're stuck with your spouse. And if that relationship was built on sand, that shit's about to crumble real quick when it's
Hmm.
just you two in the house.
Right, right.
So
Going back to, I think this goes back to, so people postpone divorces
for kids,
for
yeah,
kids
yeah,
because their relationships are horrible, but we stay together for the kids, or whatever it is. And so,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But for me, just to reiterate, God first, your spouse.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm
and
not God first, but spouse first.
I know,
So
I
that
know.
was a good question. I like those kind of questions because they're a
It's
little
so,
bit more. They force you to think a little bit. And if you for you and I, we have to put ourselves. Hopefully, everybody. I mean, statistically, not everybody, but everybody. Most people have to, I guess, put themselves in those shoes, like they've never experienced it, right?
mhm,
If that was a reality for you, then that's not going to be fun.
yeah,
But I think when you can put yourself in the shoes for different scenarios, not just this one, but for any scenario, you can put yourself in that situation.
yeah.
One, it's fun to think about because it challenges you. Two, I think it helps you grow kind of as a person too. So,
I'm curious, for any viewers out there listening. I saw 35% of our audience on
mm,
YouTube is female, and so I'm
hmm,
curious on, us being guys, do we have a different thought process
yeah,
than
that's a good
the women
question.
out there? And so if women
Hmm.
have thinking differently, or if a guy thinks differently for some other reason, like, I'd love to hear, why they think that way,
Yeah.
and maybe they can enlighten me, or I don't know. I'm always up for learning.
These kind of questions are meant to create discourse, right? Like you just want to talk about them. It's
Hmm.
just we
Yeah.
happen to be doing a podcast.
Mhm.
This is a question that I'm sure gets talked about in friend groups all the time,
Right.
right? You just don't discuss it publicly.
Right. Some
So,
sort of.
but yeah, the bringing up the female perspective would be interesting because I have a feeling that they would mostly side with your friend that
Hmm.
said they would take their kids. I think most females would save their kids as well, whereas I
Yeah.
think males would probably tend to lean more towards
Yeah.
us. But we don't have kids, right? So we can't speak to the parent,
So,
the
and
the fatherly bond. So
right. And I think I saw a stat, like a random stat, that, um, men if the women, if I don't know, if you end up staying with your wife or your significant other for a long period of time and your wife dies, usually men die fairly after, where women can continue to like live much
Yeah.
longer than men usually do, because it's like their friend, their best friend is like their wife or whatever. So they like,
Yeah.
once their wife's gone, they're like, I've got nothing else. And so
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate all these like things that I've heard over the years are, but yeah, these hypotheticals are good.
It's fun.
Good. It's fun. It's terrible. It's fun.
It's
Um,
meant to make you think and kind of,
yeah, makes you react.
expose or let people know, into your
Yeah,
thought process and all that kind of stuff. So,
and be prepared for situations that you
yeah.
can't prepare for.
Yep. Prepare for
So
the
unpreparable.
That's right. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's segment. Remember, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe to help grow the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.